many of you are doing this, where you are enforcing or giving power, empowering people to have a better life, empowering people so that there's better governance, and that is a part of social action that all of you are doing. Now, I'll give you a few examples of schemes, which confer entitlements but do not confer rights. I have mentioned about the bus ride that you get in Delhi for women. There's no harm in doing that. It's an entitlement. It encourages movement. It encourages women to go out, whether it's for work or whether it's for pleasure, for whatever reason. But like I said, these cannot be enforced in a court of law. You have rights. You have entitlements for persons who are disabled. All right. Now, I had come across a situation in one of the states, one of the neighboring states, where a disabled person was entitled to some sort of a grant or a pension or something of 200 rupees a month. A pittance, but nevertheless, that 200 rupees a month. Now, how does that person get that entitlement? How does he know? How does she know that, listen, I'm disabled and I'm entitled to get this 200 rupees a month? There are a lot of technicalities that get involved in this. That's where governance becomes an issue. You have to fill up a form. Are you 50% disabled? Are you 25% disabled? Are you 75% disabled? If your disability is, say, 75%, you're entitled to 200. But if your disability is 25%, you're not entitled to 200 rupees, you're entitled to much less. So governance, becomes a bit of a problem in these entitlements. Why? Because they're not governed by law. They're governed by executive orders. And I think that's where civil society can help out to the persons who are marginalized or who are entitled to these benefits but are not getting them. You also have midday meals. You see, now that's again an entitlement. But fortunately, it is stabilized that people are getting midday meals, children are getting midday meals. But it was originally postulated as a scheme by the Supreme Court with the assistance of the government. And now, of course, it is spread all over. Today, the midday meal scheme has become so entrenched in society that, in fact, a person can go to a court and say that, listen, in this particular school or in this particular area, midday meals are not being given. So, over a period of time, these entitlements can become rights, which can then be enforced by people, by citizens, by others, civil society organizations, by NGOs, on behalf of people who are not able to access justice, who are not able to go to courts. You also have laws which confer rights, and that's where I think civil society comes in a very big way. You have, for example, construction workers, Building and Construction Workers Act of 1996. I had occasion to deal with that when I was in the Supreme Court, and to my shock, and also to the shock of my brother judge who was with me, we found that money was being collected for building and other construction workers, but not being utilized. Why? Because the boards were not in existence. The welfare boards were either not in existence or they were not doing anything. And when we went deeper into it, the problem, we found that we are talking about thousands of crores of rupees. And I remember when we had passed an order, at that point of time it was about in the region of 19,000 crores. And I distinctly remember the Prime Minister saying on Independence Day from Red Fort that there is 19,000 crores lying in this building and other construction workers fund, which is not being used. Now, we asked these boards, we asked the state governments, how is the money being used? Right? And we came out with we have given some fantastic answers. One of them was that the money is being used for buying laptops. Right? So we said, building and other construction workers, what are they going to do with laptops? Right? Another state said we are using it for purchasing washing machines. Right now, so we said, what are they going to do with washing machines? Okay, and many of them are migrant labor. They will go from one side to another side. So even if you give them a washing machine, they're not going to carry it. Right? Many of them are illiterate. What are they going to do with laptops? So this is where benefits, rights which are conferred by law are being misused and in some cases being abused. We also dealt with issues pertaining to Manrega. Again, a right to work. Right? I can say that I want work. I'm unemployed. I want work, and the law says that I will be given work. We found that persons were not being given the wages. The money has to be given to them within a period of 15 days. As a matter of right, it's there in the law. We dealt with that case, and we found that many of them were not being given their wages in time. The government was not sanctioning the money. We also found that some people were getting their wages after maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. The law says that after 15 days, you are entitled to interest on the wages that you have earned. We said, how about giving them the interest? Many of them said that, listen, as long as we get the money, for the work that we have done, we're happy. They were prepared to forego the interest, which the government was more than willing to, because they would get that money. So again, rights being denied to people, and a lot of people had actually come to the court to plead on behalf of these workers. Many of them were not getting their wages, many of them were not getting work in time. There was corruption of different kinds. But then again, these are rights for which I think all of us need to work for as a part of as a part of good governance. The third thing that I would like to mention about is food security. Again, there's a law of food security. But we found in the Supreme Court that the state commissions were not in place. We said, why is it that the state commissions are not in place? They said, we are trying to find out people. Where is the difficulty in finding out people who can help out, being members of the state commission and do some good work? One state said that we have not been able to constitute the commission. Why? Because we've not been able to find a suitable scheduled caste candidate. So we don't have a commission. Now, what happens to the beneficiaries? People are entitled to certain benefits under the National Food Security Act. They're not getting it. We're having this problem with the Right to Education Act. Recently, the Rajasthan state government has passed a Right to Health Act. Hopefully, it will be better implemented. But the problem with these laws is that implementation is lacking. So, on the one hand, you have entitlements which you're not able to enforce. On the other hand, you have rights which you can enforce, but which the government is not implementing the law as it should be. And that's where governance suffers. And that's where issues of technology can also come in. A lot of the information that we got about Manrega was through the computers. So you have these kind. The third kind that I would like to just mention very briefly is where there is no right, there is no entitlement. What do you do in a situation like that? We had the case, very unfortunate case of widows from Vrindavan. There was a newspaper article which said that there are, at that point of time, the figure was exaggerated, but later on we found out that there are something like about 7,000 or 8,000 widows in Vrindavan. They are there, perhaps because of social pressure, I don't know, whatever the reason, but they're there. They don't have any money, right? So they have to go to some temple. They sing bhajans in the morning so that they get breakfast. They sing bhajans in the afternoon so that they get lunch. They sing bhajans in the evening so that they get dinner. Where do they live? There's some kind of a dormitory or something made by some person who had a little bit of money. Pathetic living conditions. And virtually, I'm sorry to say this, but virtually they were like beggars. okay, without any food, without any money, whatever clothes they had, little bit that they had, living in a room shared with hundreds of other women in a pathetic condition. So we said that something has to be done about it, right? NGOs got involved. The government of UP at that time, the secretary in the Ministry of Women and Child Development was a very active social worker. She got involved and said that listen, we have to find some way in which they can live a life of dignity. That's what is important. That is what governance is all about, to give the respect and dignity to citizens. And they came out with this idea that in all these temples, flowers are idle. Can we make use of those hundreds and thousands of flowers, actually a couple of tons of flowers all over Vrindavan? So those flowers were then being used for making some kind of an essence. And some enterprising person took advantage of the technology that was available. And recently, I think he got some kind of an award. I remember reading in the newspapers. His efforts were recognized, and he got an award for giving this kind of employment and dignity and respect to these widows. Of course, the government of UP also was forthcoming. They built, a sort of a hostel for them. Bank accounts were opened so that whatever money they get, they could use that. So you have, a lot of these issues that are facing people in the country. And that is where social action becomes necessary. That is where, people like you and me, we can contribute for better governance. We have rights, we have entitlements. We are sometimes living in a vacuum like these widows. What can we do about it? I think that is really the social action that we are looking for. I think that is the kind of social action that all of you can contribute for, good governance, better governance. Today, you have the advantage of technology. I mentioned about Manrega and the use of technology to find out the beneficiaries and those who are not getting the benefits under the Act. You have the use of technology which helped these widows to extract the essence from flowers and to commercially market it. So I think we are on this cusp, where we can use technology, we can use our expertise in different fields. I mean, some of you that I have met a little earlier are doing wonderful job in different fields, using technology, sometimes not using technology. But that is the contribution, I think, that all of us need to make. So thank you very much and all the best to all of you.